As Pakistan's industrial level continues to improve, repair tools no longer need to be imported. We thought their factories could make good tools of the same level. Today, we are in front of this industrial factory in Peshawar, Pakistan. These bent steel bars are the raw materials for socket wrenches. The steel bars are very uneven, but the master will still grind the tail end of the steel bars. The purpose of doing this is to facilitate the insertion of the steel bars into the shaping machine because the bent steel bars need to be corrected by the machine. It only takes a dozen seconds to insert the steel bars better. It can only pull the steel bars straighter than the straight ones. The show skills on the surface are also removed. This is the strength of Pakistan's industrial factories. The diversification of the machines in the factory is a symbol of strength. The steel bars are inserted into the drum through the iron pipe. This is because the force area of the drum is relatively large. After the extrusion of the drum, the bent steel bars can also become very proportional. The steel bars that were just bent and rusted are refurbished into new ones. Finally, the processed steel bars are inserted into the inspection machine. This is because the socket wrenches are of certain sizes. This thickness of steel bar is not suitable for making too long. If it is too long, it will be easy to deform. If the steel bar is thick enough, it is okay to make it longer. For the line block in front of the pipe, you only need to push the steel bar to the end, and the size of the cut is exactly the same. In this way, you get a rough batch of wrenches. Because the two ends of the machine cutting are very sharp, the master will also use a bench drill to grind the cross-section to avoid cutting the master's diligent hands during processing or transportation. It must be said that the masters in Pakistan pay attention to details. Then insert the steel bar into the punching machine. Because the general sleeves are square heads, the machine is under 70 kilograms of downward pressure. Because the socket wrench needs to cope with various working environments, both ends of the steel bar are pressed into square heads so that both ends can be installed with sleeves. Then punch holes on the surface of the square head so that the ball bearing can be installed on the hole. The main purpose is to play the role of line position. The same principle applies to the installation of the head of the submachine. Then the surface of the steel bar can be polished, and the surface of the wrench will be polished flat and smooth. In order to prevent it from slipping out of your hand when using it, the master will grind a non-slip pattern on the surface. Generally, they are the same. The main function is to increase the friction of the wrench surface. After simple grinding, the wrench surface will be polished so that the surface is more shiny. Then the wrench needs to be pressed to 90 degrees. The wrench of this type can be used when it is used. The wrench has been formed at this time, so it is made of steel bars. It will still rust after a period of time. The masters will also plate the surface of the wrench. The first step is to dissolve the oil, because the grease on the surface of the wrench is invisible to the naked eye. After the work is completed, all must be washed with water. After the work is completed, the acid is used. It can be seen from the master wearing gloves that this liquid is harmful because the masters in Pakistan generally do not wear gloves easily. After a simple copper plating, the surface turns golden. The wrench can be washed clean after minutes because the mother does not wipe it slowly, and it will also damage the copper-plated surface, so the wood powder can absorb the moisture well and the copper-plated layer on the surface will not be damaged. The wrench is very beautiful after the treatment. If the sun shines on it, it will basically reflect light. The steel ball in the master's hand is the ball in the shaft. The balls are all smashed into the holes of the square head. It is easy to get in, but it is more difficult to take out because the balls are definitely not easy to fall off. Otherwise, the sleeve will not be fixed. Why is it rusted? What do you think of Pakistan's technology?